Today's video is sponsored by Kizane45. Thank you for being a member of the channel, and thank you for supporting us through the membership. Good morning and welcome back everybody to the channel. We're gonna carry on working on this 1956 century resorter. I got my Mick coffee and we're gonna get started on it. First things first, I'm gonna sand down the transom area, get this all clean, get everything shaped, and then we can see what the transom's gonna look like when it's all sanded. Should be quite nice, so let's jump on it. We're gonna take this hand plane and we're gonna plane the back of it to make sure that it's all flat and smooth and level with itself. Of course, there's gonna be little bits of bumps and little edges and everything, so we want this to be a nice curved surface. Now, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go this direction when I plane. I'm not gonna go across, and the reason for that is this edge right here. Mahogany is very prone to separating and breaking. It's very brittle at times. If you've worked with mahogany, you know what I'm talking about. It can kind of split and it'll just split the whole length of it. So if I plane this way, I run the risk of catching an edge and pulling a splinter out and splitting the wood. But if I plane it like this, I know I'm not gonna run into that problem. Of course, once everything is smooth and planed, I can then sand it down and we can carry on with doing the rest of it. Now, one little trick we're doing is we're taking a pencil, which we have ground down on the edge, and we're just adding graphite to the surface of this area. So when I plane it down, I can see exactly where the low spots are, and I just keep planing it until it's relatively close, and then I can do this again just to make sure everything is nice and flat on the back of it. Taking a wood pencil and just kind of blending it flat. If you have a chunk of graphite, I mean, that would be a lot better. It'd be nice if I had a big chunk of graphite I could rub on here, but this way, you know, we're not painting it, so there's no paint getting in stuff, and the graphite comes off really easily. So I've gone over this area here and you can see it's nice and clean, there's no graphite. And then down here, you can see where the graphite remains. And that way you can see exactly where your low spots are. You can keep hitting the high spots until these are all blended out, and you know you have a really nice flat surface. Just to show you how cool of a technique this is, here is that area that's darker. If I take my plane and I put it right up against the dark areas, you can see exactly where that line is colored. There's light coming through. So you come out here and look at that. That's exactly what I'm seeing with the graphite. All right, after planing down the boat, we got all of these chips removed off of the back of the transom, and it's relatively flat at this point. So next we're gonna bring out the sander, get this swept up, and start sanding down the back of it. It's close enough, there's a couple of spots where it's a little bit recessed still, but I'm not gonna chase them down too far. I don't wanna thin this piece of wood out too much. So we're gonna sand it, see what we have, and then go from there. So Artem brought the Mirka over. We got some 80 grit. The Mirka is essentially an electric sander, but it has holes in it and a vacuum, so it'll suck all the dust up into the vacuum filter. It's a pretty useful tool. You don't need to have one. You could always sand this with whatever you got, but we're gonna go around and get this all sanded down. So there we go. Everything is sanded. We got it all planed. It's very smooth. Very happy with the back of this transom. Now here we're at our crossroads. We can either plug, stain, and varnish this, or we can do the other option, which we're actually gonna go this way. So what we're gonna do is fill all these little spots in here with sandable epoxy, including on the edges, get everything sanded nice and smooth once it's dry. That'll have to be next video. But once that's done, we have a surface that we can paint, everything's sealed, and all the fasteners are locked in place. Now, as for the process of actually plugging the boat, we're not gonna be doing any plugging possibly on this boat. We might down the road be doing some on the hull sides over there. But I wanna show you guys the process of plugging on a different boat, just so you know what you could do if you were gonna do it that way. For example, on the Gravette here, what they've done is they have different types of mahogany. Now, every piece of mahogany is gonna be a little bit different. Some has more of a ribbon grain, some has more, of a different style. Some will be darker, some will be lighter mahogany. So what you do is you actually label the planks. Starboard 8 plank, and you make sure you label all of them. And then the cutoff pieces you label as well, so that you have matching wood with the matching plank. So for example, this cutoff here, we have port side number 1. So this will match the port side number 1 piece of mahogany. It'll be the same grain, of course, and the same color. So for example, on this barrel back here, you can see the plugs have been done already. Now what they did is they selected the wood that matched this piece of wood, and they got the grains to go in the same direction as this piece of wood. And if you do it correctly, you can get some plugs that completely blend in to the wood. And that's really what you're going for here. And the reason for that is once it's all done and completely sanded and varnished and stained, this will match so nice you won't see any of these plugs. Now, of course, these ones are gonna be underneath the water line painted. So these are actually filled with a sandable epoxy. So you won't actually be able to see these ones, but the ones up above here, these were taken again out of the exact same plank, and some of them are so good you can hardly see them, and it hasn't even been sanded and stained yet. Adam here has a container for the number 1 starboard side, and he's already cut out the plugs ready to go for the number 1 starboard side. Typically we get set up here on our drill press, and we'll use a little plug cutter. Here's what a plug cutter looks like. This is what you're putting into the end of the drill press. Now, one thing to note is that over time these start to wear down. The new ones can have a higher tolerance than the old ones. So you need to find a plug cutter that matches perfectly with the holes in the wood, because you could use one that's marked and indicated at a certain size, and then when you take that size and put it in the same size hole over there, it's too loose or it's too tight. So sometimes you have to go in between these and find the perfect fit for the holes that you're cutting into the wood. So although this isn't entirely ready yet, Artem's just going to give us a little demonstration of how this works.
You must see the direction on the plank, like this way, and see direction on the plug. And we see, like, turn and just a couple tap. That's it.
Now, of course, after that dries, you cut that down and sand it, and you'll have a really nice finish, but it's really imperative you get those grain pieces lined up. Now, this boat in particular is an entirely different boat. This boat here is done at concours level. So this is done at the highest level a boat can be at. There are plugs everywhere, and you can only really see this one. But if you look really hard, see if you can spot all the plugs in this piece of wood. When boats are done at concours level like this, the plugs have to be perfect. They have to line up perfectly, and you have to have really nice grains moving along them. So next, I'm gonna get some of that epoxy. I'm gonna put it in the holes here and get this all plugged up. I'm gonna make sure all the dust is out of all the little holes and everything, so the epoxy can set in. And if I have any fasteners poking out a little bit more than usual, because I just sanded it, I'll make sure that I adjust those as well. I've generally wiped the epoxy into the holes, but what you really want to do is burp it of the air bubbles. So to do that, you're going to put some in here, and then you're going to push down like this and pull, and you'll see a little bit squirt out the back there. That means that you have it burped, and you're not going to touch that. You're just going to go on to the next one, and you should have like a little tail coming off of it. Now that's going to do two things. The first thing is if I just wipe this in here like that and then scrape it off, there's a valley here. So when I sand it, I have to add more. The other thing is I don't know if there's all the air bubbles out of that. So by doing this, when I go to sand it, I'll have a flat surface and I know there's no air behind the epoxy. There we go. We got all the epoxy put in place. All of it squeezed out, and we'll let that dry. A couple of things to note: I made sure to use the sandable fiber, not the strength fiber. It's almost impossible to sand the high strength fiber once you put it in there, so make sure you put the sandable in. And another thing, make sure that it is dry enough that you can paste it in there. And I also use the slow curing epoxy as well, so I had lots of work time with it. But we're gonna let that cure, and then next week we'll sand it, get it flat, and it will be ready to be painted. But we're not gonna paint it. We're gonna wait until we get the bottom done, and we're gonna do up a whole paint scheme. Now, what I'm thinking for a paint scheme is, you guys already know this, a big white back on here with a big design, but I'm also gonna do like a checkered board, black and white checkered board down here. I really like that. I think it's kind of a fun thing to do, and that will branch over along the water line as well. So I'll show you guys how we lay out checkered board on these. That's a lot of work, but it'll be worth it. It'll be a lot of fun. But now the transom's completed, we can move back over to the frames and the structural portions of the boat here. Now, one thing I want to address before we jump back onto those is I've been taking a look at this area here in the front of the bow. Now, fortunately, in the past, someone's done quite a few repairs in the front area here to reinforce some of the rotting wood. So you can see they put in conventional plywood, which is not okay. We need to replace that, as well as there is some cracking on the supports here. You can see major cracks coming up along this frame rail. And if you look over on this side, you can see they've put some sort of wood along the batten, a little connecting piece. We have more cracked frame, and then another random piece of batten. So I'd like to address this one little chunk here before we move on, because I'm a little concerned with the structural integrity of this portion of the boat. And seeing as this is, of course, where all of the waves are going to be hitting and where the boat's doing this, you really want to make sure this is well reinforced. Now, the one issue I'm having with this, and I'm a little bit stuck on it, is I want to keep the hull sides kind of beat up, kind of patinaed. That was one thing about this boat I really liked, is how beat up the hull sides are. It's kind of like old school hot rod, you get that cool weathering. But of course, to remove this, I'm gonna have to take out these plugs, which, funny enough, they are completely random. But these plugs will have to come out, which means, removing this, revarnishing this. So I'm a little bit kind of torn up about it, because of course, this is structural. It has to be repaired, but that presents me with the question of, well, if I'm going to strip that, do I strip the whole boat? Do I have to restain and varnish everything? How many of these plugs are going to come out? Do I just do hull sides? It's with these projects, you have to know when to stop, and you have to know when you got to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to take a look at this and see kind of what the assessment is for it. So after some deliberating, we have come up with a solution here. So it appears, Chris pointed out that the plugs, the so-called plugs in the side of this boat, are in fact just putty that someone has put into the sides of these. What I'm going to do to fix this structural issue here, as well as, I forgot to mention, this right here should be connecting all the ways, like this one, should be connected all the ways down. This is also broken. I'm assuming they took a hit in this corner. That's all going to have to get fixed. But what I'm going to do, and this may be an unpopular opinion, you might not like this, but I'm going to pick out the little pieces very carefully. I'm going to replace this, then I'm going to fill it with putty and just dab some varnish on there, making sure, of course, it's waterproof. But I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to get too fancy with it. I kind of like the idea that it looks almost like rivets on an airplane, that they kind of stand out. So if I have an extra row of rivets on the side of this thing, it just kind of adds to the rat rod feel. And that's kind of what we're going for with this boat. I don't want it to be very nice. This isn't a classical boat. This is kind of a one of a kind. Let's just get it floating and make it look really fun and kind of extreme. So this is kind of an extreme version of a wooden boat. This isn't something very typical. So for this, I'm just gonna put putty in here very carefully and varnish over it. But all that being said, I'm gonna start disassembling this and seeing what I can salvage and figure out a plan for rebuilding it. All right, let's take a look at these plugs and see if we can get these out of here without damaging this too much. Yeah, it's just as I figured. This is all putty. Gotta be really careful because, again, don't want to damage the varnish surrounding this area. So I think I might be able to get away with just removing these, putting the putty and putting the varnish in. Hopefully that works out all right. It's kind of odd, the fasteners that are in there. Of course, I've said this in the past, but Robertson would be someone in the future had put this in. So at one point someone had installed this, but seeing a flat head behind putty, it's a little strange. They might have reused the fastener, or perhaps the plug came out and they just puttied over it. Not entirely sure what happened there, but yeah, a little weird. But anyways, moving on. All right, so I just got to wrap up the video here. Get into time of the day where I got to start editing things, but this is the block that went up in here. And of course, this is the breastplate, if you want to call it that, that was kind of standing up in this area. It all pretty much just splintered apart once we removed it. So we are going to have to address that next video. We're going to finish taking out this frame, this one, as well as those batten reinforcements, and see if we can't fix this as well. But that's the exciting next video, is going to be rebuilding the front bulkhead area, moving on to the frames. Once all of the structure is done, then we can start putting the bottom on. That's going to be a really awesome video in the future. Really excited for that. But thank you guys so much for sticking around, for being part of the channel. Your guys' support, the awesome comments you leave, really encourages us to keep on going. So thank you for being part of this community. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I think we're about 10 subscribers away from hitting 1,000. That'd be really awesome if we hit that goal. Thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your weekend, and until next time, see you later.